Hello YouTube, one who's malicious here. Darsin12, another episode of Dueling like a Swordsman. I actually just got inspired because I was looking back at some articles from 2009 to 2010, and I really was reading up on the how pros in the past played X-Sabers. Actually, even before I started with Sabers, which was around September 2010, like right after Rescue Cat got banned. So I got to see some past builds and see how they worked, and right now in this video I'm going to be discussing three of the most popular builds that have been around those years. Roy St. Clair's build, Desmond Boyd's build, and finally Sean Mcabe's build. And yeah, I'm going to be going over them, and actually you're going to be surprised because I'm going to do a little adaptation so you can actually use these styles of decks in real life, like in today's format, and we're gonna see what we can do. Like I don't promise anything like groundbreaking, but there's gonna be some things. I already have some ideas that you can actually work around and toy with, and these things are actually not that far from not that far from playable. So first of all, let's start with Roy St. Clair's build. This is actually the first X-Saber build that topped YCS. And Roy took it to third place actually. It was actually right around where Absolute Power Force made its debut with Saber Holes, X-Saber Hyunlei, and Emmer's Blade. I remember Emmer's Blade like $80, almost $100 back then. And yeah, that when he basically took them and he rode them to the top, he took the third place, and this is what he actually used. The meta right back then, I remember faintly, it was a lot of Lightsworn, you saw zombies, you had Black Wings, it was a little diverse meta, but it was around those top three decks, and X-Saber's taking third place back then. It was a really big surprise. Let's see what he did so that you can get an idea how he actually won the tournament. Alright, so we have two Kiko. I'm pretty sure he had this for the Lightsworn mashup so that they couldn't remove Necro Gardna. Also against Blackwing so they couldn't go into Baju. It's actually a pretty solid card back then. A lot of people used it on both main, side deck. I remember using it on my Dark Synchro deck back then. So yeah, it was a pretty legit card, very powerful. A lot of people looked for it. So it doesn't surprise me that he actually played it on the main. Then we have Sangan. He used Sangan to search for monsters like Rescue Cat, Summoner Monk, get any X-Saber like Erbel, Foam Knight, Raggy, Emmers, you name it. It's actually a very good searcher in this deck, and by that time, like, since we didn't have Dark Soul, this was the next best thing. So, and a lot of people really didn't like Gartham. It was like too situational, so Sangan was the way to go. Summoner Monk, that back in those days, Summoner Monk was the shit. I mean, it was always used in decks like Synchro Cat to bring out Rescue Cat and do a lot of shenanigans. It was used in a bunch of decks like Black Wings, and it doesn't surprise me to see it here too. I'm pretty sure he only used it to summon Rescue Cat, or maybe sometimes even summon a Kiko quickly on the field. And then finally we have Rescue Cat. As you can see, it's banned. It was banned for a really good reason. I mean, we have ourselves to blame. We broke this card. When Dark Soul came, it was like it was enough. But basically in this build, Rescue Cat was used to bring out two Erbellums, and those two Erbellums will then enable Faltro to be live, and then you could GC any Fallen Emmer's Blades and stuff like that. So it was pretty good. It brought the Erbellums quickly on the field, and it made Faltro live in a second. Gores, of course, with a Lightsworn format, you were very sure to have an empty field, so Gores was always live back then. It was a really solid card, and there was no excuse to not run it. 3 Rebellum, obviously they were the targets for Rescue Cat. I'm pretty sure that those were. And it was a solid tuner back in the day. It had a really great effect. A lot of people actually feared this as much as Spirit Reaper. And it was a pretty good dude. I actually remember hoarding these guys because for no reason at all I didn't even plan on playing X-Sabers back then. But I remember seeing this guy, I was like, oh my god, this tune is pretty good. I'm gonna put him in my deck just because, you know. It's like, so it was like the Gale, you know, like Gale that everybody wanted a Gale in their deck. Well, something like that. Triple follow throw, of course, doesn't surprise me. Triple follow throw was the way to go. Double Fulham Knight, back then Fulham Knight wasn't that important, but since, you know, you saw Light Sworns and other decks like Black Wings, you could see Fulham Knight's effect actually into use pretty much often. And actually back then her negate effect was actually pretty boss. I remember that. I remember having a couple of Fulham Knights too and using them just because. Raggy was super solid in this build, and I know why. I already saw the rest of the build, and I can see why. You know, excellent synergy with Lightning Vortex. I mean, amazing. A lot of synergy with 1-for-1. You know, Raggy was really good. I think this is the closest thing to. I think this was like the best replacement for Dark Soul back then, since we didn't have it, and this was the next best X-Saber. And I'm pretty sure Roy will agree with me that this did something very similar to Dark Soul by searching Fallen Ember's Blade. Actually, I read the article and he loved going Ember's Blade, getting destroyed, searching a Raggy getting Ember's Blade back, and then he had his second Saber able to be summoned next turn, so that Falter will be always live. So that was an amazing move right there. I do that often a lot, so I know where he's coming from. And of course, the card that I've always said that is the most important card in this entire deck ever, like X-Saber Ember's Blade. I mean, it's just the most important Saber ever. It's always been. It will always be. I mean, for you know, when I started X-Sabers, I really thought Dark Soul was the most important, but honestly, as the more I played with it, I realized that Ember's Blade was the best. You know, it's been the most solid X-Saber ever, and a lot of people can agree with me. It does what Dark Soul does, but even better. You know, it places X-Saber on the field, which is the thing we actually need, not really have it in our hand. Then let's look at the spells. Double Lightning Vortex. I mean, this is just solid synergy with Raggy Gura. I can see this already. A lot of people must have been pissed at this card. Giant Grenade, back then it was legal. I mean, no surprises here. Staple back then. 1-for-1, amazing synergy with Raggy and gets a lot of stuff. You know, a free Raggy Gura basically. Saber Slash, really great card back then. There was a lot of big boss monsters, a lot of synchros, and you know, it's like basically, if I'm sure that Roy had this situation when he was going against Light Sworns or Zombies, that they have a lot of cards on the field, they put a lot of monsters, he survives with a Gores or something, and basically next turn he explodes, and then he does Saber Slash, clears the entire field, clears fields of Brianna, clears fields of Judgment Dragons, clears fields of Zombies. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he used this card a lot in the tournament, and because back then it was a special summon madness, and you know, it had to be stopped. So I mean, Saber Slash was very solid back then, and it still is. Mind Control, you know, a lot of tuners were used back then. It was actually one of the, I mean, I would say it was the peak of the synchro format. Very close, plants come very close, but I would call the zombie era, you know, a peak, a really big peak, because people just went crazy. Brianna was at 3, then it was limited. It was crazy stuff. Heavy Storm, of course. You know, it was legal back then. I'm pretty sure that then the following format it was actually live for one more format, and then in September 2010 when I started with Sabers, it was finally banned. My Body as a Shield, as he says in an article that I read, he used it to protect his X-Sabers. Honestly, I completely agree with this. I mean, it was, I mean, X-Sabers always required 2 monsters in the field, so that Falter was always live. So he did this so that Falter was always live, and I really don't question this. I mean, it was an amazing decision. Back then we didn't have Starlight Road, so this was the next best thing. And you know what? It's actually a pretty solid card still. You know, and you know, it's with all the dark holes and torrentials and mirror forces going around, I'm pretty sure we can just still use this card in today's meta. You know, it's like maybe Starlight Road is better, but this thing is actually a quick spell. It could be used in your turn. You don't have to set it. It doesn't become dead, so it's pretty good. I mean, in the end, it's more important to protect your monsters than both spells and monsters. So I really know where he came with this. So I'm pretty proud about that. And Bottomless Trap Hole, I mean staple back then. Torrential Temp also. Mirror Force as well. Triple Saber Hole. It was making its debut back then. I'm honestly 100% sure why he used it. It was just like it was so easy to keep an X-Saber face up on the field back then. So, you know, Saber Hole was always live. It took down Judgment Dragons, took down Synchros, took down Brionac. You know, you name it. It's like it took out everything, and I'm pretty sure I know why he loved this card so much. I mean, he's credited in the article pretty well. Triple GEC, this guy's my man. He knows what he's talking about. I mean, I love it. Triple GEC. I love when I see Triple GEC in Pro build. It's my way. You know, it's my way as well. I love God's Emergency Call. It's the second best card in the X-Saber deck. I mean, first comes Hammer's Blade, then comes God's Emergency Call. So, yeah, I mean, amazing card. I mean, it's a no-brainer why he ran at a 3, especially with Hammer's Blade now. And of course, a lone dimensional prison for stuff like Stardust and, you know, annoying cards like that. Okay, so now that we explained the deck, I'm actually gonna show you something pretty cool that you're actually gonna like. So let's take this fast forwarded to today. Let's take the Sangan out since we don't really need it anymore. Let's take these things out. Let's take out the banned cards. Since Rescue Cat's gone, Summoner Monk is not needed anymore too. Let's take out Giant Trinate. Okay. And you know what? Let's leave Gores there. Let's take I will take a Raggy. One is run fun swing. Bogart. What I'm about to do is I'm about to show you that this build is actually not that far from reality. Nice, huh? And we actually took it to 40 cards. Let's make some little more adjustments. Let's take out the Lightning Vortex for a Dark Hole, since Dark Hole is pretty much Dark Hole. Just put it there. And I think we can go 1 for 1 is not needed that much now since we're not running 2 Raggies. Let's put Monster Reborn. And ta-da! There you go. Roy Saint's Clair build updated for today's meta. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty solid. I would run this. I mean, 1 prison. Maybe I would do 2 prisons. But maybe I would do like -1 Saber Hole, 2 prisons. But I love Saber Hole so much, so I would run 3. I mean, I love this card so much. I actually have like 4 copies in my binder. And if I ever get the chance, I will play it. Maybe 1 Saber Slash and 1 more prison, but really it looks really solid. Maybe a Torrential. You know what? Let's take out Torrential. I mean, if you want to play Torrential, go ahead. But let's go with another prison. And let's take, since you know Air Venom is not that important anymore. Pash, of course. Wow! Check that out. Doesn't that look neat? I mean, it looks amazing. I mean, I would play this in my tournament, like for reals. Like it looks so freaking cool. I would love it if Roy would comment on this to see if he would actually play it as well. I mean, it looks pretty solid. I mean, you have you have an extra Dark Hole. You have your Starlight Roads. I mean, you have everything. I mean, it's freaking cool. I mean, maybe I would play a Typhoon or 2. And leave this at 1 or at 2. Play a Typhoon. I mean, no Solemn Warnings. I mean, it's not needed. I mean, you got Saber Hole. Boundless will do the trick as well. And it looks really solid. I mean, you got the Gores just in case. I don't know. I really like this. I mean, I really like this. And you know, Saber Hole takes care of stuff like Undying. is freaking annoying. I mean, maybe Megalo will go through, but you know, I mean, Undyne is really annoying, and taking down Undyne really gives you a free turn against Mermails. It takes down Wind Up Rabbit, it takes down and Wind Ups takes out some Mighty, takes out Pillow Terror. If any of Chalkmaster, you know, whatever they throw your way. Chaos Dragon takes out Light Pulsar, it takes out freaking Black Luster Soldier, Chaos Sorcerer. I mean, this card's busted. Maybe I should play some copies. Okay, so that's awesome. Let's save this now. It's a new meta. It's the new Royce and Clair build. I hope you guys like that one. Let's go to the next one. It's actually Boyd's build. Desmond Boyd's build. This is now more 2010. Almost 2000. I mean, that's like I think I would call this like August, or like July, August. That was the end of the format basically. And Desmond Boyd took that YCS with this build, and it took it by storm because he used what we call now recruiter sabers. I'm pretty sure he made it up. I could be wrong. But yeah, he basically inspired the concept of using 6 Embers Blades. I mean, and you know, I love Embers Blades so much. Why wouldn't I not play 6 Embers Blades? So here you go. I mean, you got your and by the way, you still have Rescue Cat, which by the way could be searched by Giant Rat. So Desmond Boyd's build, as you know, back in 2010, was the build that could get Rescue Cat more consistently than any other X-Saber build out there. All thanks to Giant Rat. He had 4 ways to get out Rescue Cat. 5 if you count Sangan to search. Pretty amazing. Oh, and the Gold Sarcophagus, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways to take out Rescue Cat in his build. So simply amazing. And you know, basically you had 3 Fall Trolls. You only have 1 Bull Guard because honestly you depended more on the field presence that the Giant Rats and the Embers Blade did. So it was basically that way. That's how it played. Of course, 2 Fulham Knights. It was pretty good back then still. 3 Dark Soul. Obviously, when Dark Soul was released, it was a freaking staple. If you didn't run it, and back then it was stupid. You know, you actually could stack the effect. I'm pretty sure a lot of you remember that. 3 Embers Blades, of course. Actually, this is actually pretty neat because back then, Infernities were pretty common, and Infernities loved to go into Mistworm, and Embers Blade will be dead against Mistworm because it will be sent to the hand. So many Saber players actually didn't run Embers Blade because of this factor, but Desmond Boyd actually ignored that. He said, like, you know, he said, F it, you know, let's go with 6 Embers Blades. I'm running 3 Blades, 3 Giant Rats, and go into this tournament and take it by storm. And guess what? He did. Summoner Monk, just like Royce and Clair's builds we saw earlier. Rescue Cat as well. Sangan, the same 4 monsters. This time we see 2 Rebel instead of 3. I'm pretty sure because, you know, it was basically a lot due to triple Dark Soul. It was also another target for Rescue Cat. 3 DD Crow helped a lot against Infernity Launcher, so that they could remove Infernity Archfiend and other Infernities that were in the graveyard. It was a really solid card against Infernities and stopped it in their tracks, so I really get why he runs this card. Triple Book of Moon, oh my god, I miss those days. Oh, that was actually the format of Book of Moon was unlimited, and it was annoying as hell. And the thing is, it was such a freaking solid card. I loved it. I love Book of Moon with Full Knight. You know, it's just pluses all the way. Gold Sarcophagus is actually a very common card played back then in Sabers, and was still played through 2010 all the way to 2011. A lot of builds did it. Cold Wave was legal back then. Broken shit card. I remember actually this one because I actually used it as well in the 2010 format until it was banned. Heavy Storm was actually, that was the last format Heavy Storm was legal till it was banned, and then re-legal again in like 2011 September. Mind Control, really good card. Like I said, a lot of tuners back then. Giant Tornado was legal. The Mystical Space Typhoon was the one. And Brain Control was actually a really solid card, which was legal as well. Solemn Judgment for Dust Shoot, which was legal, and 3 Dust Tornadoes to help. I'm pretty sure this was also against Infernity since they set their entire back row. Now let's take a look at this build and see what we can do. Well, check this out. Once again, let's remove the cards that will no longer be needed. I actually would still only run one Bogart. Since MSC is at 3, let's take out this. Put 2 more. Let's take out the band cards. Dark hole. Heavy Reborn. Okay. Yep. I mean, if he wants to run through 4, let's respect the fact that he ran 4 spell trap destructions. I mean, although I don't think you need that much anymore. But you know what? Let's take it out. Let's see what we can do. Trap Dutch, of course, banned. We can leave Triple Crow. Actually, I mean, I don't mind using Triple Crow this format. It's pretty good. Pash, of course, Pash. Yes, very important, Pash. Let's take out this, and let's run a 3rd Fulham. Book of Moon, of course. Gold Sark, I mean, I don't think you need to run this. Let's take it out, since I'm sure he did it for Rescue Cat, so let's take it out. And for Cold Wave, and for Giant Tornado, all those boss, all those power cards. I'm pretty sure he did it for that. Let's put GC. I was always wondering why he didn't run GC in this build. You know, with all the smashing that it will do between these sticks. Triple GC, of course, is my way. Let's go with Phoenix Chain, personal favorite of Prolos. You know, a shout out there to David Flores. Two of them. Truth, of course, and Prison. I don't know why I love Prison. Actually, let's go Warning. Okay. Boga Boom, Mind Control, Heavy, that's I think this looks pretty legit. Maybe I would take out the Gore since we're running Fiendish. Yeah, let's take out the Gores. And let's run a Maxi. Alright, Maxi is pretty cool. Let's take out one more and let's run 2 Maxi. Yeah, 2 Maxi, 2 Crow. And I think that looks pretty solid actually. Oh wait, actually forgetting a very, very important card. Why don't we twist this around a little bit? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Creature swap, of course. Excellent synergy with Giant Rat, with Amher's Blade. I'm pretty sure Void will agree with me. Alright, this looks pretty solid. You can play this in today's meta. Crows are annoying. I mean, they get rid of Hornet, they get rid of stuff like in the graveyard that windups will want to revive with Rat. Maxi is really good against windups, against Mermails, Rabbit. So, I mean, Pot of DD Crow disrupts Pot of Avarice, so that when Rabbit or windups go into Pot of Avarice, you disrupt it. Disrupts the graveyard for Mermail, so they can't go into Molten Glacier. A lot of stuff, actually. Pretty cool. And if you're going to a mirror match, well, you can disrupt Dark Soul Searchers. Pretty cool, too. There's around 6 tuners, a Bogart. You know, maybe, I mean, if you want to run 2 Bogarts, it's okay, but I mean, in this build, since we're focusing more on Giant Rat and stuff, I would run one more. Other stuff you can actually do with this is actually run Horn of the Phantom Beast, since you run Giant Rat. And, you know, just plus off that too, like play a little bit more control. But creatures have actually pretty solid. You can get stuff like Megalo, you can get stuff like Grapha, you can get stuff like, yeah, pretty good stuff, actually. I really like this one. and I think this is actually a very promising looking one. I'm pretty sure the pros will agree with me. Alright, let's go to our last one. Sean. Oh, yep, let's save that, of course. Let's go to Sean's Sabers. This is pretty cool. I mean, both Sean's Sabers and Roy St. Clair's build, I remember actually, this one was YCS Philly, but the one that really got me to play Sabers back in 2010 was the final two Saber builds that were used in YCS Toronto, which is actually the first YCS of that format, September. And I'm pretty sure I remember pretty well that it was the final match was Roy St. Clair versus Lazaro Belittle, and I'm sure Lazaro won, something like that. And if I'm not mistaken, he forgot a Dark Soul Surge. Yeah, that was pretty funny. But he was so excited that he was gonna win that he forgot it. I mean, you can call that a Saki win, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is actually Sean Mcabe's build, which was used in another YCS later on in the format, and he took third place, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And he actually did pretty good. This was the more traditional look. This is what pure Sabers was. You know, like when you know, like 2009, 2010 was Cat Sabers. Then September 2010 came along, and Sabers became pure finally. They didn't depend on cards like Rescue Cat and stuff like that. And since Colway was still around, it was very easy to go into Hyunlei and disrupt a lot of back row and leave them with almost no cards in hand. And then, well, you had this, and this is what came up. We used triple Fulm Knight. Fulm Knight became then our most powerful tuner. You know, since Cerebellum decreased in power due to Rescue Cat, but he still ran 2 Cerebellums actually, and 2 Posh. This was actually one of the few builds that actually ran Posh back then. I mean, one of the first builds to, aside from Roy St. Clair's and Lazaro's build, to incorporate Posh. You know, people started to look at Posh more and very important. And of course, we see Power Duality making its debut in Duelist Revolution. We see cards like Solemn Warning making their debut as well. So this is a build that it's more similar to the actual modern X-Sabers we have today. And as you can see, we actually have stuff like 7 tools, which I even use that stuff. I remember using 7 tools. I remember using 1 7 tools and 2 Trapstone in my build. Solid stuff. Royal Oppression, also remember maining this stuff. I loved Royal Oppression. I mean, I loved just eliminating every card and then flipping Oppression and, you know, just shaking their hand. It was pretty good. And, you know, I remember all these cards. And it was like, I remember this build so much because this is what I exactly had. I remember buying my X-Saber build for my X-Saber deck for like $200, and it's been the best Yu-Gi-Oh investment ever made in my entire freaking life. I'm so proud of it. And well, you know, I still play Sabers to today, 2 years, and this is what started it all. You know, this Sean's build and Roy St. Clair's build is what started it all. So. Okay, like what we can do here to make it a little more relevant. Well, let's first start with the bottom band cards. Take them out. All right, we're down to 40. I will take out a 7 tools and put the 3rd GEC, since I love GEC. Just love it. Let's put out the 3rd GEC since pure Sabers. Actually, I would even take out that 2nd Saber 7 tools, since, you know, we don't see that. But I mean, back then Solemn Warning was at 3, so that's the reason why people played 7 tools, to, you know, make, you know, a little payback. Trapstone will definitely keep it in the main. I like this stuff too. I don't like Duality, but, you know, in respect to Sean's build, I will keep the Duality. I will have to remove the Book of Moonstone since they were limited. They're limited now. And I will go like, you know what? Maybe let's take out 1 Airbellum. Add a Raggy. Alright, Raggy's cool. Raggy's cool. And then we could go. Prison? go. No, chain. Let's go chain. Chain's pretty good here. Let's go with double Phoenix chain. And oh, MST, of course. Yeah, let's remove one chain. Let's go with double MST. Yep. This looks pretty solid, and it's pretty playable in today's meta as well. So, there you have it, guys. I mean, a brief story about sabers. I mean, all the way till like when we started. Hopefully, I really hope that David Flores build becomes the next standard. I mean, it's actually looking like it. I mean, it's really looking like the next standard for 2012-2013. And you know, basically, this is actually the build that dominated most of late 2010 and most of 2011 till the deck became dead. You know, the pros gave up on it. Billy Break ran something like this as well. So it was the standard for a long time, and then you know David came along and he brought his version of control sabers, and he actually brought it to a couple of regional tops. So I'm very proud of him, and I'm pretty sure that's going to become the new standard for 2012-2013. So I'm very proud of David, and you know I really want to express that on this video. So that's it. Thanks for watching. And until next time, next episode of Dueling Like a Swordsman, this has been a history about X-Sabers. Thank you so much.